Hey guys, time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So let's talk about what Rafa did first. Again, I'm being a bit of a tease here, so I'm not going to open the deck lid. But what I will tell you is that Rafa did wire the gauge senders on this end. Very, very sanitary job, as you can imagine. Again, I'm going to do a complete walkthrough of this video, and I'll talk about in more detail the things that we're doing on it currently. Yeah, so he wired in there's a sender that has both the idiot light and the fuel pressure gauge, so he wired those in, and then he wired in the oil temperature, which is on the bypass plug. This is a single relief case for those of you that know what that means. So there's only the plug sort of closest to the back of the car. So that sensor went in there and wired. I mentioned before, managed to pull a wiring harness or a group of wires over the headliner there. So yeah, that's all wired in. And then from there, he moved on to the front of the car. I will show you this briefly. I'll give you guys that much, and then we'll go over it again in more detail when this car gets its own dedicated walk around video. But there you can kind of get a quick glimpse of the gauges. So obviously those three there are the new ones. Yeah, very neat installation. Lots of wires on these added in, but of course Rafa did an amazing job of kind of tucking them all in there and organizing them, at least to the extent that we could. Same thing with the radio. These retro sound radios have kind of a lot of wires, again, because they are modular, so there's just a lot of wires, a lot going on in the back of those. But of course, Rafa did a very neat job installing that, so looks great. So pretty much, that hurts with a broken wrist. I'll try this with my other hand. There we go. That did not hurt. Okay, so yeah, we'll do much more detail on this when we get around to it. But that was basically what he worked on today, was finishing those up. And then, so I think left to do on this car, we still need to wire the two speakers that went on to the bamboo tray there. We still need to install the front Coney shocks. I'll have to look at his lists. I think those are probably the major things. We're doing some little paint touch up here and there too that we're not quite done yet. So we'll talk about those when we're finished with them. But yeah, that was basically Rafa's day. So my day started off with the engine for the yellow 71. Started off by putting on the flywheel, which I had sent off to have machined, and then installed the clutch, pressure plate, got all that torqued down, all brand new. Well, the clutch disc and the pressure plate are new. Of course, the flywheel's an original one that we machined. What else did I do? I installed this clamp here today, which I had neglected to do before. That just basically seals between the exhaust heater box here and basically the fresh air tube coming down from here down to there, and then it seals between this part of the muffler here and then the heater box. Let's see, what else did I do today? So today I went and got a standoff here for the fuel pump, and then installed the fuel pump. And what else? Just some little things today. No huge things on this motor. It's 90+% done, but I went ahead and installed the vacuum line between the vacuum pot here and the carburetor. I did wire up the choke. So we're going to basically run this along here, and then through this holder here. This car is going to have a wiring harness coming in from this side, and that it's going to run over here for the generator. So this will just kind of tuck in neatly with that, so it'll look very nice and clean. And then this goes down to the positive side of the coil, so that's power for this. And then also it jumpers over to this little idle cutoff fuel solenoid thing here. And then also wired in the negative side of the coil here. These things come with a really, really long wire, so kind of routed it where I wanted it, cut, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 inches off it, put a new connector on it, and much cleaner looking than having this long wire. What we used to do back in the day is those long wires, we'd take them and we'd kind of wrap them around a pencil or something, and then have this kind of, I don't know, like phone cord looking wire that we all thought was super cool back in the day. That's not what we do. We cut it to the right length and put a new connector on it. So I think that was kind of it for the motor. And then basically I got back onto the car itself. So again, these cars, later cars, literally probably 2 to 3 times more wires than an earlier car. So continuing. So I worked on this wiring originally, and then Rafa did some, and now I'm kind of taking back over. So here's the original turn signal relay, started wiring it up. Here's the high beam, relay, whatever you want to call it, headlight relay, headlight switch. I did install the emergency flasher switch, which is way back there, super hard to get at. And then it's in the dash. You can see it here. It doesn't have the knob on it yet, but yeah, so little by little, wiring's coming together. And then, I got to the point where a lot of this stuff is all routed to either the ignition switch or the turn signal switch, flashers and emergencies and headlight. All this stuff is interconnected on these cars. So I finally went ahead and installed the steering column, and then installed the ignition switch and a new turn signal stock here. So now I can kind of continue with all that wiring. And then while I was at it, I went ahead and connected the steering coupler here. Put this little thing, I don't even know what this is called, on here. This, again, I think I mentioned before, it's if you get in a front end collision, this bit here can kind of collapse. And this thing actually prevents the steering shaft from going up into the car. This thing basically hits this pipe here on the body and prevents the steering column from getting shoved into the driver. So it's just part of the safety stuff. But yeah, this is all connected. These two here aren't tight, but I'll tighten those probably later after we put the steering wheel in and kind of do preliminary alignment. And I think those are kind of the major things for today. So tomorrow I'll probably continue on the wiring, especially now that I have the ignition switch and the turn signals in. A lot of this stuff is going to get connected here, and hoping to make some legit progress on the wiring here. And so for today, I think that is it, guys. So we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.